Emergency 911, what is your location?
It's 4B. My neighbor. Something is wrong, it's the smell. It woke me up. It's like a barbecue, but it's 3 in the morning. And there's this sound, like a motor that won't stop.
I am FJ, and this is Horror Gaze. Today, we examine a case that challenges our fundamental understanding of intimacy. In 1941, psychiatrist Hervey Cleckley described a phenomenon he called the mask of sanity. He proposed that certain individuals walk among us who appear not just normal, but superior. They are often the most charming person in the room, the most attentive lover, and the most reliable friend. They mimic human emotion with the precision of a master actor, but behind the mask, there is a vacuum. The story of Elena and Julian is a testament to how easily that mask can be worn, and how devastating it is when it finally falls. This documentary contains detailed accounts of femicide and cannibalism. The psychological and physical reality of this case is extreme. If you find these topics distressing, please prioritize your well-being. Before we look into the mechanics of this tragedy, I want you to consider something. We are taught to look for monsters in the shadows. But what happens when the monster is the one holding the candle? Have you ever ignored a quiet intuition, a red flag, because the person standing in front of you felt like everything you ever dreamed of? Tell me your thoughts in the comments as we move forward. Elena was 32, a vibrant landscape architect who saw the world in colors and textures. Her friends described her as radiant, a woman who lived for the weekend hikes and the quiet corners of city libraries. She was looking for a partner who shared her appreciation for the finer things. Then, she met Julian. He was a surgical resident with a secondary passion for the culinary arts. He was sophisticated, his clothes tailored, his movements deliberate. From their first date at a high-end bistro, Julian was a vacuum of attention, pulling Elena into his orbit. He didn't just listen to her, he studied her. The early days were a whirlwind of what psychologists call love bombing. It is a calculated flood of affection designed to overwhelm the victim's judgment. Julian cooked for her every night. He spoke of the chemistry of the body and the art of the flesh. "You are exquisite," he would tell her, his eyes tracing the line of her throat. "You look good enough to eat." In the warm glow of a new romance, these words felt like a compliment. Elena laughed. She felt cherished. She didn't hear the low, dissonant frequency beginning to hum beneath the surface of his charm. 6 months in, the warmth began to drain from the room. They moved into Julian's apartment, a sterile, high-end fortress of glass and steel. Slowly, the world around Elena began to shrink. Julian's devotion turned into a quiet, relentless control. He didn't like her friends, he found them unrefined. He suggested she quit her job to focus on their shared life. The obsession with food took a sharp, clinical turn. Julian began bringing home anatomy charts, pinning them to the kitchen wall. He talked about the texture of human tissue, comparing the marbling of muscle to the finest cuts of Wagyu. On dinner nights, the atmosphere changed. Julian would sit across from her, not eating, simply watching her chew. He would stare at her jawline, his eyes fixed on the movement of her throat as she swallowed. The sound of the fork scraping the plate became deafening in the silence. Elena felt a coldness settling in her bones. The man who had promised to protect her was now looking at her as if she were a collection of parts. By October, Elena knew she had to leave. The isolation was absolute, and the man she loved had become a stranger who spoke in the language of a butcher. She agreed to one final dinner, a farewell Julian insisted on, claiming he wanted to end things with the same grace with which they began. He prepared a 5-course meal. He poured a vintage red wine. He didn't use a weapon of heat or rage. He used the tools of his trade. With the precision of a surgeon and the patience of a chef, Julian waited for the sedative in the wine to take hold. What followed in that kitchen over the next 12 hours was not a crime of passion. It was a methodical, clinical process. Julian treated Elena's body not as a person he had loved, but as a harvest. He utilized his medical knowledge to process her, cleaning the kitchen as he worked, ensuring that every cut was perfect. The whirring sound the neighbors heard? It was a commercial-grade vacuum sealer. Julian was packaging his life with Elena, one portion at a time. When the police arrived, they expected a domestic dispute or perhaps a gas leak. They found Julian in a white linen apron, his hair perfectly combed. He was calm. He invited them in. On the table sat a single plate. The officer's body cam footage captures the moment of realization. The lead officer asks what's for dinner. Julian smiles. A thin, practiced expression, and says, "Everything I ever wanted." In the interrogation room, Julian did not cry. He did not deny. He spoke with a terrifying lucidity about vorophilia, the desire to consume another. To him, this wasn't murder. It was the ultimate act of possession. By eating Elena, he ensured she could never leave him. She was, quite literally, a part of him now. Experts call this the total objectification of a human being. Elena was no longer a woman, she was an ingredient. Julian was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. He remains in a high-security psychiatric facility, where reports say he still critiques the quality of the cafeteria food. Elena's family is left with a void that no justice can fill. They remember the woman who loved landscapes and libraries, trying to reconcile her memory with the horrific headlines. This case serves as a chilling reminder: the most dangerous predators don't always growl. Sometimes, they cook for us. They look for our needs, our desires, and our vulnerabilities, and they use them to build a cage. If you are in a relationship where you feel isolated, watched, or owned, please reach out. There are people who can help you find the door before the mask stays on forever.